morning. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Tomorrow we are going to be honoring veterans with the holiday of Veterans Day, and Saturday there'll be a ceremony outside Town Hall here that the Rosie Bone Post does every year at 10:15, so hopefully everyone can join us. But in the meantime, I would like to ask our veteran, John Cochran, Councilman Cochran, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, this is our annual budget meeting, and we have two agenda items. Then we will continue with the public hearing for the budget. Time was of the essence, so we're able to put them on the agenda today. And the first item is an approval for the acceptance of a deed from Bayshore JV LLC for sidewalk and highway purposes in connection with the premises located at 1700 Union Boulevard in Bayshore. Are there any questions? Hearing none, motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Item 2, town board approval for the conveyance of 3 properties in the town of Islip, working with the CDA, to be used for affordable housing purposes. Are there any questions? Hearing none, motion? Motion by Councilman Guadrone, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Okay, that takes us to item 3, which is the public hearing to consider the adoption of the Town of Islip 2024 operating budget and capital budget. There are no speakers that have signed up to speak on the budget. So what we'll do is I would ask our controller to come forward to just give us a quick overview so that we can then close the public hearing. And in the interim, if anyone shows up, they may speak.
Good morning, everybody. Joseph Ludwig, Controller for the Town of Islip, 401 Main Street, Islip, New York. I would love to come up here before you folks today and say we have wonderful new things that are included in the budget, brand new projects, programs, things of that nature. But unfortunately, as I said, over almost like the last decade now, it's a same meat and potatoes, kind of a boring budget. As it has been over the last several years, it is once again getting harder and harder to put these budgets together. As we've all seen in our own pockets, the rate of inflation from last year into this year hovered 7%. If anybody is in the middle of looking at a refinancing or a mortgage on your home, 2 years ago we were 3%. Now we're just under 7%. Our revenues, unfortunately, have not kept in pace as the expenses have gone up. And that's done somewhat on purpose. We try to keep our tax levy as low as possible to not impact the residents more than what's necessary. And that is the edict that goes out to all the commissioners. We start this project, in early, mid-June really, and, commissioners give me their requests. We knock them down even on what they've knocked down on top of it, just to try to do the best that we can without having that impact of the taxes, and that's the mindset that we go into having the budget process. And again, the commissioners do deserve a lot of credit because they understand they have to do more with less. They have to get more creative to do more with less. They have to find better ways of doing more with less. And to their credit, they do the best that they can. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work out where we won't have a tax increase. This year, we do have a slight, small tax increase. It's roughly 2%. There is a preliminary budget adjustment that you folks have before you that will be entertained. That will bring the tax increase up to 2.3% of what we call our 3 major funds. That's our general fund, our highway fund, and our town outside village or part-town fund, whatever one you would like to call it. We are, and this is the most important portion of the whole thing, we are tax cap compliant, however. So even though we have tax increases in some funds, the tax cap applies to the town in general, and we are compliant with the tax cap rules and laws that New York State makes us be compliant with. Like I said, there's not a lot of great new initiatives within the budget. It really is a status quo budget. Amongst the amendments that you guys have in front of you is the one new thing that we can talk about. It is the Quality of Life Court, or the Adjudication Bureau. I'm not really sure what the official title of it is, but it is something that I believe we passed a resolution back in July, or I should say you folks passed a resolution back in July to create the court. That is amongst the amendments that you have before you today, and that will give, as I understand it, the town better control over those quality of life issues where we're not subject to waiting our turn, so to speak, within 5th District Court with every other township on Long Island. That is the new initiative. It is not an expensive initiative in the grand scheme of things, but it is an amendment that you guys have in front of you. Outside of that, and I hate to sound like a broken record, especially if you go back, hopefully nobody does, over the last several years and listen to what I've said, it's the same basic jargon. It is a status quo budget. We do the best that we can without trying to raise the taxes too much, and I feel that we've done that with this budget. That is the 75,000 foot view. We can certainly dive down a little bit deeper. Usually I do a 50,000, but I was feeling silly this year when we went 75. So if there's any specific questions from the board on any projects, programs, funds, departments, whatever, by all means, let me know.
Joe, thank you very much. Obviously, you and your team worked really hard on this budget. We've had many, many conversations. There's a lot of input from the members of the town board, and we appreciate that. I also want to thank the commissioners who took the mandate to sharpen their pencils and really took it to heart, and yet we're able to continue to deliver services to the residents of this great town. The fact that there is a modest increase in the budget of 2.3% overall now, but considering that some of the neighboring towns and some of the Newsday reports, I see the headlines, 10% increase, 7% increase. So this certainly is modest, and obviously we are tax cap compliant, and that is really a very important thing that we've been able to adhere to, and I'm very, very grateful for that. The fact that we're able to introduce this initiative of the Quality of Life Court, as many of us are out there all the time meeting with the residents of the county, the civics, the town rather, and the civics, the biggest thing is, there's a problem with a derelict house or cars parked, and, the complaint comes in, and we send out the fire marshal, the code enforcement officer, and then, 30, 60 days later, it hasn't been resolved. Well, the court plays into it. District court, their agenda is very, very heavy, and they're dealing with some major, major issues, more than just the quality of life issues that, quite frankly, negatively impact the residents of our town more than the big crimes that happen, fortunately. So I think this is going to go a long way, and also with any of the, reviewing line by line and making surgical cuts here and there so that we could stay under the tax cap. One of the things that was not at all compromised was public safety, because we know, we're not the police, but we do have a responsibility with town properties to make sure that people are safe, and that commitment to public safety is there. The Ross Park initiative happened this past year. It was just opened up. That was commonly known as Needle Park because of all the drug activity that took place there. Finally, the county saw fit to remove the 5 bus shelters that were right in front of our park, which really contributed to the negative behavior in the park. And, a couple of weeks ago, we were able to deliver back to the community, to the town, a family-friendly facility, just a reimagined Ross Park, and it's really beautiful. But, the commitment is there on part of all of us here that are sitting up here to keep to public safety. It's really very, very important. And when we talk about that modest increase, I also want people to realize, look at your tax bill. The town portion of the tax bill, is, 5 to 6%. It's not the 65 or 70% that the school district budgets contribute to, and that's, where the problem lies. But in any event, if there are any questions, one other thing, the commitment to, there was additional expenditures in IT. We were so fortunate. We too were the recipients of a little bit of a hack, as the county was, but the town of Islip came through it beautifully. I want to thank Doug, our IT director, and everyone in the department, and all the commissioners that jumped to the ready at that time. It was a holiday weekend almost a year ago. We were hit at 5 o'clock in the morning on a holiday, and by 7 o'clock all systems were shut down. We had no issues or problems, and fortunately we were able to have insurance, but by increasing the things that we're doing this year, the redundancy and all of the other things that we're putting in place, it really helps raise our score as far as the insurance agencies are concerned with our cybersecurity readiness. So we're really, really in a good place. And having said all of that, I see your hand at the ready of the microphone.
I am, yeah.
Councilman O'Connor.
I don't want to go first, if anybody else.
Anyone has any comments or
yes,
questions?
if I
Sure,
may.
Councilman Guadron.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you, Comptroller Lubin, for making such a great job in the preparation of the budget. I must commend you on that. And thank you again. On the Adjudication Bureau, what is the expected time that we can see a return of the initial investment?
Great question. I don't have an answer on that one. That would be actually more of a, and sorry, Will, I'm gonna kind of throw you under the bus. That would be more of a town attorney question. I don't know if they've even gone so far as to say, hey, if we write a ticket on day 1 of the Bureau, by day 16, we would expect to see that revenue come in. I don't know if there's an analysis that's been done on that one, certainly not been done by my office. I would have to defer to the town attorney's office to see if they would have a better understanding of that.
Got you. Thank you very much. That's all.
Well, I think we'll probably be able to answer a question like that. Once we are up and running, we should be able to guesstimate on when we're gonna start seeing that return, yeah. Anyone else?
Joe, thank you again every year for educating me. We met for a little over an hour on Monday with our briefing and went over it. One thing I found interesting in the revenue side of the town, particularly A 02401.09, which is, again, one of the items that we're going to, I guess, amend the preliminary budget today. It went up another 30,000. Right. So you were describing it for me as the interest increases on our custodial accounts. The town has funds that we keep in custodial accounts. The banks, I was struck by the number from 2021 that we only got 44,000 in interest, and now for 2024 we're budgeting over 2 million, 2,030,000 as a result of today's $30,000 adjustment, right, up from 2 million to 2,030,000, and that's really reflective of the economy, as you were telling me. So can you explain it so that maybe we have the benefit of understanding? It's the impact on interest rates, right?
Exactly. So just to use the example, I purchased a house back in December of 21. My mortgage rate, 3%. Yay me. 2 months later, those mortgage rates were over 4%, and like I mentioned before, they're now hovering just under 7%. On the opposite side, the interest earnings rate that we were getting on our money in the bank was maybe 0.1%. What we're getting now is close to, I think there's one bank in CD that we're getting close to 5.6%. So you can see that the world hurts and helps all at the same time with the same basic interest function. Hurts us on the purchasing side, helps us on the investment side. But that's basically why that interest number went from the 45,000, whatever it was, up to projected 2+ million.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my next point. It's kind of a double-edged sword as it relates to the town and municipal financing, because as interest rates rise, the cost for us to borrow money goes up. Correct. Because we're paying more on interest rates on our bonds and the borrowing side. But the flip side of it is we're getting more back on our custodial accounts because the interest rates in bank custodial accounts have gone up.
Correct. Excuse me, correct. And that's why having the AAA bond rating that we have and trying to come up with these budgets that are as realistic, for lack of a better term, as possible is so important, and that's what we strive to do.
And I see another amendment or adjustment to the preliminary budget are in the 3125 lines. which I guess is the line that we're dedicating for the adjudication court.
Yes, it's my understanding, in talking with the town attorney yesterday, that it's a separate division, not a byproduct of any existing, so that 3125 is the new department code that it will get.
Okay, because, you know, we as a town board made a commitment to the residents, all of us, that we were going to embrace this new adjudication process, that we think it's going to help the residents as they see code compliance issues in their communities, because it's going to allow us a process that will really, hopefully, stress more compliance than perhaps in a criminal system, as Town Attorney Walsh kind of educated us when we adopted the idea of the Adjudication Bureau. When you go to district court, it's a criminal process. Here, we're really more concerned with improving the lives of our residents and making the community code compliant.
Correct.
So hopefully, those tools will be available to the adjudication court, and we will see more code compliance in our communities, which is what the residents, I know, reach out to all of us and bring that point to all 5 of us up here, that's what they're interested in. So that's great. I just didn't see, I know in reviewing my budget, I didn't see it in the preliminary, and the preliminary jumps right from line 3121 to line 3310. So there was no 3125, and you've explained it to me that that's going to have a separate page all to its own.
Correct.
Okay, terrific. Joe, I appreciate it again. Thank you for helping me through the process.
If I could just go back to the point that you made about the interest earnings and seeing that huge increase. Also understand it's not just because the rates have gone up. There's a lot of work that goes behind that. We have been very diligent about increasing the number of banks that we do business with, and we're not relegated to 1 or 2 financial institutions. When you broaden the base like that, you can kind of work one against the other, if you will. And that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to keep watching those rates and making sure we're maximizing our interest earnings. So to your team, again, in the office that takes care of that, we want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Councilman
Yes, me.
Cochran.
Yep. Hey, Joe, thank you for all your work you've done for me for 12 years. I appreciate it. As being a councilman here for that time frame, I've been, as a businessman, trying to bring income into this town, which hopefully doesn't affect the taxpayers. Cell phones, how are we doing, or cell towers? We have 2 of them, right, that the town runs? Capri Island and 401?
Yes.
How we do with revenue in that?
Those are long-term contracts. I believe the town attorney's office is in the process of negotiating one of them. So there are built-in increases on that one, and it's a couple $100,000.
The reason I bring that, we approved in 2008 12 cell sites around the town of Iceland, which doesn't cost the taxpayer anything, and we become the landlord. And I direct this board when I leave, hopefully they'll approve some of these sites. One was I tried to do this summer at the Antique, because of West End of Fire Island right now, which is my ward. And by the way, Mike McElway, who's in the audience, congratulations for taking over. Hopefully he'll champion this because that's his ward now. But there's a need right now with the amount of communication and the data that we're all producing with our cell phones to have these sites open, because it is basically it's a fund that we can enjoy, that we don't have to pay for that site to go up.
Correct. I do believe that those towers, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is more of a planning department, I believe, but they were based on having applications and things of that nature submitted to the planning department, so I don't know if we've even gotten that far with it. But again, not my department, so I can only speak out of
I just want to make sure you're seeing the check coming in, that you're depositing in our fund.
Yeah, so for the existing towers that we have, we do collect the money. Like I said, there are built-in increases that are in the contract, and I do believe that when Amy Murphy in the town attorney's office is working on negotiating a new lease, so again, we'll have increases built in as well.
Because why I bring that up is because when I introduced parking in Bay Shore, and when I introduced the cell tower over to Capri, I was never going to get reelected. Well, I got reelected twice. So we have to make hard decisions, but decisions like a cell tower going up in an area that doesn't affect local residents is profitable for the town.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
It's not only profitable for the town, John, but it's a safety issue, as you pointed out, I think, in the past. If we don't have good cell service on Fire Island, it becomes a public safety issue.
Thank you, Jim. Yep.
Thank you. Councilman Lorenzo?
Thank you all. Joe, thank you. As you all know, this is my first budget season, and it was a lot to take in. And I tortured Joe and his team asking questions, so I appreciate all your kind.
You weren't as bad as you thought.
Keeps him on his toes, it's a good thing.
And thank you to the board and the supervisor and all of the departments out there that really sharpened their pencil to keep these numbers down so we didn't pierce the tax cap. It's a tough world out there, as we all know, hitting our pockets hard, and I appreciate it. Seeing the Adjudication Bureau put back into this amendment to this budget warms my heart. Public safety is needed and quality of life is needed, especially in all districts. I hear it a lot in my district, and I'm looking forward to working with the law department and public safety, the supervisor, the board, on really putting this process forward so it benefits our constituents and it benefits the town. So I appreciate all your hard work and I thank you for helping me out.
No problem.
Thank you so much, and again, I just want to thank the members of the town board, because they've really been very participatory and helped get us to this point this morning. I will make a motion then to close the public hearing on the operating budget and the capital budget, and make a
Oh,
motion.
I have a question, sorry, go ahead.
That's all right, let me just finish with the motion. Make a motion to hold the capital budget in abeyance to a future meeting, but we'll close both public hearings, close the public hearing on both those budgets, and make a motion to approve the operating.
Would we first need to approve the amendments or adjustments to the preliminary budget? before
With the presented, we could do it in one, could we not do it in one motion to approve it with the attached amendments? Yeah, so the approval for the operating budget as presented with the motion, with the amendments that were added or attached.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Very good. Thank you very much. No other business to come before us. Just remind everybody to hopefully participate in the Veterans Day ceremony here or in your local neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Motion adjourned?
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.